My name is Aris Papageorgiou. I'm a professor of fetal medicine and obstetrics, and I'd like to welcome you today to this live demonstration of AI in ultrasound as it is available right now. The reason we developed this AI algorithm is to help sonologists to undertake the standard anatomical screening. So we know that in cases where a fetal anomaly is missed, that most often it's not that the sonologist saw the plane and got an image of this anomaly and then just failed to recognize it. Usually the scenario is that the anomaly wasn't visualized because the plane in which it is on was not looked at. So for instance, if you saw a baby that postnatally was diagnosed with a cleft lip, you might look back at the imaging record and realize that there was no coronal view of the lips in that baby. The aim of this AI algorithm that sits on this GE machine is to do two things. The first thing it does, it ticks off automatically all the images that are required within a protocol. So as you do your ultrasound scan, it will tick off that it's seen the head, it's seen the lips, it's seen the kidneys, and so on. The second thing is that it recognizes the quality of the images by assessing standard image-based criteria. So in the abdomen, for example, it will look that the stomach is visible, that the umbilical vein is a third of the way along inside the abdomen, that you have a nice circular abdomen, and so on and so forth. So not only is it looking at the completeness of the record, but it's also making sure that the images that you're acquiring are fit for purpose, and they're fit for purpose for your imaging record, but also in the case of sonographers, for the reporting radiologist. So let's see how the system works. Okay, so here's the baby. And let's say hello first of all. So here you can see the profile of the baby. Can you see that there? Yeah. You can see how you almost see the whole baby on that screen. Can you see the face there, the nose and the lips? And when I freeze that image, what it tells me is this is a profile of the baby. Can you see that? And it's highlighted at that little switch there, so I can then confirm that that's the profile, and that's then gone into the system as completed. So it's got a little tick mark next to it. So that's the face. And then if I move to this side here, we have here the nose and the lips of the baby. So this is sort of skimming the surface of the baby's face. So you can see the tip of the nose there. Can you see the tip of the nose? Two little nostrils. And the lips of the baby. And then when I freeze that, it's telling me that it's the nose and lips, which is correct. So then that gets ticked off next. And I can send that off to be saved as well. So I move up the baby here a little bit, come to the head of the baby. So this is a cross section through the head. Can you see the line in the middle, which separates the two halves of the brain there? And then we have little structures inside the brain that we look at. So here we have a little space which allows the two halves of the brain to talk to each other. This is called the ventricle here at the back of the head. So that was the transventricular view of the head. If I move just slightly, then the ventricles disappear and you see a slightly different structure, which is the transthalamic view of the head. And again, here you can see that's being recognized. So we can see beautifully there the cerebellum. And again, the system recognizing this as a cerebellar plane, or the transcerebellar plane, as in that little logo up there. So this is the head. We've seen the profile already and the lips. We come down the baby, coming down here to the heart and the chest. Now, if I freeze here, what's going to happen is going to recognize that that's the chest of the baby. You see thorax, so that's because I'm seeing the two halves of the two lungs, and it's also telling me that it's very near the four-chamber view, so I'm just going to magnify that a little bit. Let me see if I have a preset on the cardiac. So here you can see very beautifully the four chambers of the heart. Can you see the four chambers and little valves there opening and closing? Valves opening and closing. So here you can see that this is the four-chamber view. Good. Click there, and then it's telling me to look for the ventricular outflow tract. So this is actually the left ventricular outflow tract. Let's see, yes, and you can see LVOT there as it's recognizing that. As we move up a little bit, very slightly, you come to the right ventricular outflow tract and the three-vessel view. Those views are very close to each other. You come back to the standard view. This is the abdomen of the baby in cross-section. Can you see that big black space? That's the stomach, just there. And this other space here is the umbilical vein. And again, showing me here that this is the abdominal circumference. So as I'm scanning, it's ticking off all those little boxes on the right-hand side that you can see. And it's making sure that a busy sonologist who's scanning patient after patient after patient isn't forgetting anything in their imaging record. This is the hand. Oh, I'm quite pleased that that's recognized the difference, because the feet and the hands can look quite similar sometimes, but you can see that that computer system is recognizing both the foot and the hand separately there. So that's good. Good. Now, I can have a little look here and say, oh, what are the things that I'm still missing? So I still have to see the abdominal cord insertion. So let me go for the abdominal cord insertion. There's the abdominal cord insertion. Thank you. I need to see the kidneys. So I'll try and give the baby a little prod if I can, just to see if we can get a slightly better view of the kidneys there. So recognizing that both the kidneys are there. So if I have a quick look, I can see that pretty much everything is done. I'm missing a picture of the orbits. Now, see what happens if I try to close this. I can see there the things that I'm still missing, and gives me little red crosses. So if I'm not sure exactly where I'm at, then I can continue exam. If I tell the machine to end the exam, it will actually warn me and say, hold on, before you finish the exam, make sure you've got everything. And it may be that I've seen it and, not pressed save or something like that, which is fine. But perhaps I've forgotten it, and then what I can do is just continue the exam in order to get those last few things. So one of them was the abdominal circumference here. So this is the abdominal circumference. And I click yes, I've seen it. It's got a little red border around it because I haven't got my calipers on. So I put the calipers on there. And that's gone green. And then the other thing was orbits. Okay. I didn't take a picture of the orbits. Let's come here. What I'm doing is taking a cross section through the baby's face here. Can you see those two black round things? Those are the baby's eyes. If you look really carefully, you can even see the lenses inside the eyes. So this is a baby looking up to the ceiling at the moment there. So you can see the two orbits, and the little triangle in the middle is the nose. So when I click here now, what you can see is that I've completed my examination, and when I click End Exam, as opposed to before, when I was clicking End Exam, it came up with that screen that said, hold on, there's some red bits here. It's now allowing me to end the examination, and then it's done. Now, the next level for this system is where it's not just looking at the image and recognizing the image, but also assessing the quality of the image. Okay? So what we're going to do is look at that now. What it's doing, it's recognizing the profile, but it's also giving us these little cartoon. Can you see a little cartoon? It's the other way around from the baby. But it's showing me these 3 little green dots. It's telling me that it's seen the forehead, it's seen the nose, and that the magnification is adequate for the picture. Now I can try and on purpose make a mistake, or maybe the baby puts the hand in front of the face, which is kind of helpful. So what I'm doing here is saying, okay, not a very good profile. In fact, it's saying, no, you've seen the hand. That's funny, which is true. I haven't seen the hand there. But let me try and purposely make the image of the face not perfect. Maybe the easiest is by not magnifying sufficiently. So it's showing me, it's still recognizing that it's a profile. And it's saying, yes, you can see the forehead and you can see the nasal tip. But it's giving me a little black mark there because the magnification of that picture wasn't proper. So here is a picture of the head. And this is pretty perfect here on the ventricular plane, but I'm going to move to be not completely perfect. I'm going to move a little bit like this. And it's doing a great job, because it's showing me that this is a transventricular view of the head, and it's showing me all the criteria that should be there. And can you see that number 2, that is blank? That's the little structure there that's at the front there, and it's telling me I'm not seeing that particular structure. I'm going to spool back now. I'm just going to spool back. I'm going to get to a place there. You see, I've gone back and it's reanalyzed the picture now. And it's saying, yep, now you can see that little structure, that cavum septum pellucidum, which is a really important structure to see during the examination. So there's a real time element as well to it. So not only is it recognizing the image, it's looking for all those little structures. But if it hasn't seen one, you can go through your little cine loop and discover the right image in there. Now, one of the reasons this is so useful is that babies change position all the time, right? So if I were to do a scan in you and I was looking at your liver, I would have a very set way of how I do things. But in babies, you can't do that, because sometimes you start a scan and the baby's it's facing downwards. So you can't start with a profile. You need to start with a spine. And this is why it's got to be pretty flexible to recognize things as you go through and pick up all those different elements. So this is now going beyond that previous system I showed you, where it's just looking at whether a picture is present or not. What this system is now doing is also looking at the quality of the image. So here, cerebellar, transthalamic view of the head. Perfect. And it works pretty fast as well. So if I try and speed up here, cerebellar plane, transventricular plane, baby's profile, I'd like me to see another hand. Good. This has now gone green because we've seen both hands. Abdominal circumference. Good. And it's happy with all the imaging criteria there. Cord insertion. Now these are the 4 chambers of the heart. So again, now when we come to the heart, it's particularly important to have that quality check. So you can see all my little things are green there. When the valves are open like that, it doesn't like that because it can't see the valves. So it's going to uncheck that little tick box until I go back to seeing the valves and being able to assess that the offset of the valves is normal. Through vessel tracheal view, good. Perfect. I'll just show that again. Good. This is a much better view of the kidneys than we had earlier. So we'll try and get that. So here we have the 2 kidneys, either side of the spine. You see those little black specks? So again, very happy with that. And it's giving me that quality assurance. Perfect. So we're nearly done. Okay. Just quickly show the bladder. Good. Three vessel umbilical cord. Yep. Found and seen. Femur length. Perfect. So let me just close that. I'm going to try and end the exam, and again, it's going to tell me that I've things missing, but I've overridden that and I've closed the exam anyway. Perfect. Listen, I'm very happy again with everything, just as I was the other day. The anatomy of the baby is completely normal, but what we've been able to demonstrate today with your help is quite how, look, obviously when you come here, we're very expert at doing ultrasound scans, and unlikely to, to miss things or forget things. But a lot of women have ultrasound in settings where ultrasound may not be available, may not even be routine. In some countries, they have ultrasound in the hands of people who don't regularly do ultrasound. So maybe your general obstetrician or your general gynecologist who does very few cases, and may find something like this really, really helpful. So the standard of care is very variable around the world. And, I don't think you need the most expensive machines necessarily, but the people need to know how to drive them really well. And the idea of this is to help people who perhaps are still not the most experienced drivers with some technology, in the same way that, you do in your car. You've got systems that help you, right? Whether it be your satellite navigation or your lane assist and all these things. It's kind of in the same vein of assistive technologies that will hopefully make accidents less likely.